I'm expecting good things from Tottenham. Talk about Dominic Solanke joining Tottenham. We talked a little bit about this on yesterday's show, um, but overall, I think this is a very good signing for Tottenham, in the fact that you know it was a team that had a clear need at that striker position, someone that can go in and get 20 plus goals for a legit team. Because I think him being able to get 19 goals out of Bournemouth with the amount of crosses Tottenham play in, how high energetic, high attack pacing sort of football, the chances that they create, the amount of attacking opportunities they find themselves in, having a striker like Dominic Solanke, that's a really good balance of physicality, that physical in nature to him. Being 6'2", being a little bit more muscular, beefy, with the combination of just pure ability, pure technical skills, ability to play in tight spaces. I think he's a really good player, Dominic Solanke, and I think him going to a club like Tottenham can make Tottenham a little bit, alarming. I think Tottenham has improved. Tottenham are a better team right now than they were last week, and that's because of a signing like Dominic Solanke. And they got it for reasonable bargain. Reasonable bargain in my opinion. This is a guy in Dominic Solanke that has scored 19 goals in the Premier League last season. Aged 28 or aged. Let's do the fact check real quick. I believe he was 26 years old. Okay, age 26 years old, scored 19 goals this past season. And he did it in the Premier League, so he's already Premier League proven, and also in the fact that he's an English player that adds to it. So he 65 million euros, initially 55 million with 10 million add-ons. No, I believe that's pounds actually. Yeah, 65 million pounds, which is 55 million initially with 10 million add-ons. Look, could you argue, is he a $65 million player? I don't know. But in the fact that he's Premier League proven already, he's an English player, don't think there's a relatively crazy deal. This is a Dominic Solanke that really put a push in for that England, to get into the England squad. Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney were able to get in ahead of him, but he put in a good push, and it was based on the solid season he had this season. So I think he can make Tottenham alarming, because what they needed was that clinical sort of finisher. Richarlison, he did not provide that. He doesn't score enough goals, and he's not consistent enough in front of goal to be that sort of player. Richarlison, he could be, he has some pace, he has some ability, he can, he's lively in dangerous areas. But overall, Dominic Solanke is just a better striker and is more of a pure natural striker. And I think Ange Postecoglou can really thrive with this, and it makes them unique. Now Tottenham, their attack is actually, there's some quality and there's some depth too. There's plenty of options with Dominic Solanke, Richarlison, Son, Kulusevski. There's some real players in this team that can make them deadly. I think Dejan Kulusevski, Son, and Dominic Solanke is a brilliant front three, and having the likes of a guy like Richarlison that can come off the bench and be a factor for them, that's a very good attack. You also have the likes of James Maddison, who want to pick up the good form that he had last season, especially early on, playing behind them, creating the opportunities for them. Again, that's, you're seeing the little bit of the triangle that he's going to build. We've seen Ange Postecoglou, how he wants to play with this Tottenham team. He wants this team forward going. He wants this team with being able to create a lot of chances, being very, very open. He's very, 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 very stubborn in terms of how they play, and that's in a good way, because the great managers, they don't go to plan Bs. They want to make plan A better. Even when they went down to 9 men against Chelsea that one day at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, even when they were down to 9 men, the defense line was still right up on the halfway line, and they were still going forward. They were still pressing high. They were still playing that sort of football. They ended up getting burnt by Chelsea eventually, because you can't play that way with 9 men. But it's just the philosophy that Ange Postecoglou has. He has the way that he wants to play. He wants the way that his team wants to look, and he wants his team to be very open. He wants his team to be very aggressive, very attack minded, and he wants to go for it. And now they're building that sort of team that has the quality to really make another team pay whenever Tottenham are able to create this amount of chances. And defensively, you have Van de Ven, who has pace. The goalkeeper situation, we know with Vicario, they've solved that. He's been really, really good for them. Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie, are two solid fullbacks that I think are going to continue to improve as they get more Premier League and Premier League experience. And then Van de Ven and Christian Romero, I think, is a very, very, very good center-back partnership. So overall, I think the starting 11 is really good with this team. I think they could bulk up a little bit the midfield. They were able to sign Archie Gray, who had a very good season for Leeds in the championship. He was very, very good for them. Had a very, very good season. Playing 52 games for Leeds, but how can he translate that into the Premier League? He's only 18 years old. Can he be a factor for Tottenham? Right away? But he's been really good in preseason. Another midfielder that they were signed that's been pretty good in preseason was Lucas Bergvall, the Swedish player. They were the Swedish 18-year-old, another young player, another player sort of for the future. They were able to sign him from Djurgården, and yeah, we'll see if he can be some sort of factor for them. Another sort of young player that they signed in midfield. Bissouma and Papasar, they're going to operate, they're going to control that midfield, they're going to be the backbone of them, playing right behind James Maddison. And now you have the likes of Archie Gray from the bench, an 18-year-old Lucas Bergvall, who also could be an option in there, having a good preseason. There's a little bit of, this is the team. The problem was Tottenham's first 11. I thought Tottenham's first 11 was actually pretty solid last season. But the way that they play, how high intensity that they play, how much energy they put in, game out, when you don't have the squad depth, eventually the results will start deteriorating. If you saw Tottenham last season to begin this season, were brilliant. They were brilliant, and they were really up there in the Premier League, and they were battling. Eventually, they slowly started going down, because as games went on, start more and more tension and wearing on these players, the same way that they play every single game. Eventually, the players started getting a little bit tired, and the results started to show. I thought down the stretch in games, the players looked really, really tired. I thought, the sort of intensity, how intense the sort of football that they played earlier in the season, you didn't really see that level of intensity and that level of attacking play later on to the season, because the team just looked a little bit more stale, looked a little bit more tired, looked a little bit more rough. Now I think you're able, with the signings that they've been able to pull off in midfield, in the attack, can make them really, really threatening. I think defensively too, they still need, one or two more center backs just to bolster up the bench, the depth in terms of center halves, the depth in terms of fullbacks as well. They need to, the defense. I think Pedro Porro, Udogie, and then Romero and Van de Ven. I think that's a good defensive. If he goes with the back four, that's a good four. If he plays the back four. But in terms of the depth defensively, I think they could take the next level there defensively as well. Because keep in mind, it's not just the attackers that are and the midfielders that are asked to do a lot. The defense are asked to do a very lot because of how, because number one, they're playing at the halfway line essentially. They're having to be that sort of, third line of defense in terms of pressing. They're having to play really high up in terms of in midfield. they're being asked to do a lot, and then they have to make sure to track the runners in behind and do that sort of work. So the defense is also doing a lot of work in this. So it's going to be very, 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 very interesting to see how this makes Tottenham. I think Dominic Solanke makes it change it up though completely for Tottenham, and I think they could push into the top 4 this season. Now the Premier League overall has gotten more tougher. Team by team, they've gotten tougher with the transfers and all that. So I think it'll be tougher to reach the top 4 this season. But I think they can seriously make a push. Because as I said, the Premier League teams, a lot of the Premier League teams, they got better, right? But I also believe Tottenham also got better. So it remains to be seen. But I do think they can make a push to get into the top 4. What I predicted? Probably not. But I think they have a chance for sure. Which I didn't, entering last season, I didn't give Tottenham any chance to be any sort of, I thought they would be mid-table club in that sort of ranks, and I thought I was impressed with how they were playing with Ange Postecoglou, especially early on this season.